Hi, it's Katrina. Number 10. The Fairy World of Sanxingdui. Excavators in China discovered some very unusual artifacts scattered through a series of pits at one of the most mysterious archaeological sites in the world. The site is called Sanxingdui, located in China's Sichuan province. Associate Professor Zhao Hao from Peking University said the artifacts discovered in the pits show the complexity and imagination of the people who once lived here. These strange sculptures of anthropomorphic beings reflect that these people believed that beyond their own world, there existed a fairy dimension of weird and wacky creatures. The pits at Sanxingdui first began to be excavated in the 1980s, but excavations have continued through the years, with more than 13,000 artifacts recovered by 2020. The artifacts date back to about 4,500 years ago, when the unknown culture existed. The pits have proved interesting because they had nothing to do with human burials. For an unknown reason, the Sanxingdui residents dumped extremely valuable objects into the pits. Statues and treasures, that sort of thing. These artifacts may have been offerings to the fairy beings of another world, but researchers don't really know. Very little is known at all about the people of Sanxingdui. They developed a complex society and built a great city in the Bronze Age, then vanished without a trace. Number 9. Ancient Horse Saddle. Something weird was found in a Chinese tomb recently. Archaeologists discovered a leather horse saddle from 2,700 years ago. It could be the oldest saddle ever found, but what's really interesting is that it was uncovered inside the tomb of a woman. Up until now, the historical narrative has been that only male elites rode horses in China. Finding an ancient horse saddle in a woman's tomb completely shatters that narrative. Women also rode horses, maybe even into battle. The tomb was uncovered at a cemetery in the Tarim Basin, located in the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region. The tomb was opened in 2003, found crammed full of mummies and artifacts. But it was only recently that scientists took an interest in the leather saddle, made from 2 cowhide cushions. The cushions were filled with straw and camel hair, making the saddle a very comfortable luxury item. It was made around 724 BC and is similar to saddles found in Scythian tombs in Russia. The Scythians were nomadic horse lords who controlled the Eurasian steppe 2,500 years ago. Legend has it the Scythians were behind the Greek myth of the Amazonian warrior women. They hold a special place in history because their women were notoriously brutal warriors who fought from the backs of their majestic horses. The similarities between the Chinese woman's saddle and the Scythian saddles suggest a relation. Maybe the Scythians were not the only horse-riding women warriors. The trend may have traveled into China as well, where women took to horseback. Number 8. The Lost City of Zibalanda. In the 17th century BC, Hattusili I founded the mighty Hittite kingdom in Anatolia, Turkey. The empire became immense, covering a vast area of Turkey, the Levant, and Upper Mesopotamia. The empire held its position for about 700 years or so, until 1190 BC. Most of what is known about these powerful players on the ancient world stage comes from Akkadian texts. It's in one of these texts that the glorious city of Zibalanda is mentioned. The city was said to be a cultic center dedicated to the Hittite weather gods, specifically the god of storms, Ziblantil. In Hittite lore, the weather gods ruled the skies and the mountains. They summoned clouds and brought the rain. They roared with thunder. Archaeologists working with the University of Pisa recently excavated a large mound at Usakli Hoyuk in Anatolia. For many years, historians have been suggesting Usakli Hoyuk could have been the site of Zibalanda. Now it's looking like the rumors may have been true. During the most recent excavations, the team found a mysterious structure near what they believe was the main temple of the city. The structure likely served a ritual purpose, but that's only an educated guess from the archaeologists. Everything is destroyed, making it tough to tell what was what. The ruins have not been confirmed as the cultic center of the storm god, but Professor Anacleto D'Agostino says there is a good chance that it is. And now for number 7. But first, it's shout-out time! I want to give a big thank you to Jamie Erickson and RS Doncall for supporting this channel. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already for more videos about amazing discoveries. Number 7. The Neanderthal Flute. In a prehistoric cave in Slovenia, archaeologists found a musical instrument carved 50,000 years ago. It's a flute made from the bone of a cave bear, an extinct species of monster that used to roam North America and Europe. The flute is the oldest known musical instrument in the world, which is a very impressive title. It was found by Ivan Turk. He discovered it laid neatly beside a hearth used by Neanderthals. A group of Neanderthals had gathered inside of a cave and made themselves a cozy fireplace to keep warm. The only thing missing was music, so one of them used an old bear bone to carve a flute. This is the oldest musical instrument found, but maybe not the oldest one ever made. For all anyone knows, Neanderthals were blowing flutes and banging on drums 300,000 years ago. The sound made by the flute is surprisingly musical. Slovenian musician Ljuban Dimkarovski played a clay replica of the flute made by the Slovenian National Museum. Despite being so old, the instrument was able to reproduce modern musical melodies. If Neanderthals could make flutes that good, it stands to argue they were far more intelligent than many give them credit for. Number 6. The Lost Kingdom of Loango. When European explorers first began adventuring across Africa, they encountered mighty kingdoms and unstoppable empires. In the early days of colonialism in the 16th century, Europeans traded with many of these kingdoms. For example, the Kingdom of Loango in the Western Congo. The kingdom lasted from 1550 until 1883. During those 300 years, Loango was a thriving trading partner for European merchants. They never did maintain the fame of their neighbors to the south in the Kingdom of Congo, but they were powerful in their own way. The first travelers in this part of Africa only really mentioned the Kingdom of Congo. It wasn't until about 1561 that Loango shows up in the records. Congo had already been converted by Portuguese explorers to Christianity. In 1561, a priest named Sebastião de Soto sent missionaries from Congo to Loango to continue the conversions. Soon enough, the Dutch explorers were meddling in Loango. Geographer Olfert Dapper wrote of internal wars within the territory of Loango in 1668. They exported cloth and copper, which were both very valuable to Europe. The Kingdom of Loango also exported slaves. They subdued neighboring tribes and took men as prisoners. Then the prisoners were sold to Europeans. This was normally done by warriors in large cities. They traveled far into the jungles of the Congo in search of tiny tribes that were easy to capture. By the 18th century, things weren't going great for the kingdom. There isn't much detailed information on what happened, only that the king lost his authority and leadership failed. The kingdom just kind of faded away into the background, its cities forever lost in the African jungle. Number 5. A mysterious white substance. Archaeologists in Armenia discovered piles of a strange white substance, almost like a powder, inside some ruins. The ruins are 3,000 years old, uncovered near the town of Metsamor by Polish-Armenian scientists. The white powdery substance was a source of great intrigue. It turned out to be the remnants of flour. The ruins functioned as an ancient bakery. The white powder found dusted over the cracked floor was used to bake delicious goodies around 1000 BC. Experts said that at first they thought they were dealing with ashes. They collected 5 sacks of soft powder. After the chemical analysis, they realized they had wheat flour that was used to bake bread. The bakery was active during the early Iron Age up until the 9th century BC. Researchers say it's one of the oldest structures of its kind in the region. The flour was still on the floor because the structure's roof collapsed in a fire and buried everything. The region itself is even more mysterious than the bakery. The ancient inhabitants of Matsamor didn't have a written language. Little is known about them except that in the 8th century BC, their capital city was integrated into the biblical kingdom of Urartu. But before the integration, there had been a ritual landscape of about 247 acres of temples and sanctuaries. Number 4. The Lost City of the Gospels. Recent excavations on the northeastern edge of the Sea of Galilee uncovered evidence of a lost city. Scientists think it could be the lost city of the Gospels, the legendary Bethsaida. According to the Bible, Bethsaida was home to 3 of Jesus' apostles, Andrew, Peter, and Philip. It was also the location where Jesus held his ministry. Bethsaida is near where Jesus fed 5,000 people using only 5 loaves of bread and a pair of fish. Christian scientists have been searching for the lost city for decades. For the last 30 years, the prevailing theory has been that Bethsaida is located at Etz Tel, an ancient settlement built during Roman times. But there was never much evidence found to confirm the theory. Now, at the site of El Araj in the Batea Valley Nature Reserve, archaeologists are finding a lot more proof. The place looks like an old fishing village, just like the one Bethsaida was described as in the Bible. It's highly unlikely archaeologists will find the building in which Christ held his ministry. They most likely won't find the seaside houses of St. Peter or St. Andrew. But if their hunch is correct, these crumbling ruins could belong to the most important missing city from the Gospels. Number 3. A lost city in Egypt. Egyptian archaeologists have unearthed a lost city near Luxor. The head of Egypt's Supreme Council of Antiquities, Mustafa Waziri, announced that the city was built during the Roman era in the 2nd century AD. He also described it as the oldest and most important city ever found near Luxor. Researchers have identified residential structures, and they found towers that were used to house pigeons and doves. They also came across a metal workshop filled with ancient rubble, forgotten tools, and Roman coins. Scientists haven't said anything about the history of the city yet. All they're telling the public is that the ruins are part of a complete city, one that was lost and buried until now. The discovery is fantastic because it comes just months after Egypt announced the recovery of the lost golden city on the west bank of Luxor. The archaeological team called it the biggest ancient city ever found in Egypt, abandoned 3,000 years ago. That makes 2 lost cities in just a few months. Archaeologists have their work cut out for them as they struggle to uncover the past of these ancient places. Number 2. The Shrine of the Water Goddess. Archaeologists discovered a few coins in Iraq that bear the name of a city. Other than the bronze coins, there is no mention of this city anywhere else in history. It's called Natuonia, and we know very little about it. Why was its name written on only a few coins? Who ruled the city, and where was it? Archaeologists think they may have found some answers. A group of researchers from the Heidelberg University in Germany recently uncovered a shrine to a water goddess inside an ancient mountain fortress. The fortress is located in Iraq, and experts think it may have been the Natuonia they've been looking for. The fortress appears to be around 2,200 years old. It was built on the border of the Adiabene kingdom, who likely paid tribute to the larger Parthian Empire, so they weren't squashed. Near the fortress, they discovered a carved figure wearing an impressive hat. They think the figure could be a representation of Natu-Nisar, king of Adiabene. It might be that the city was named after this king, and the fortress was built as part of its defense. Natuonia may have also been the home of a cult who worshipped Anahita, the Persian water goddess. It was her shrine that the researchers uncovered. Still, there is no way to confirm that the rumored city was located at the site of the tower and the water shrine. Archaeologists still have a lot of work to do if they want to revive the history of this ancient place. Number 1. Lost Greece. Archaeologists in Greece think they may have just found the earliest Iron Age house in the country. This could be the biggest Greek discovery of the year. The ancient home was uncovered at Thorikos, an ancient village south of Athens. The village is near an old silver mine. The region is also dotted with Mycenaean tombs, graveyards, and forgotten temples. Finding the ruins of an ordinary house has always been a bit of a weird one for archaeologists. They have no trouble finding tombs, but a boring old house continuously proves elusive. The corner wall of the structure was first seen in 2019, and specialists assumed it was a tomb building. Now, with additional investigations, Scientists have identified it as a house from the 10th century BC. The house had 6 rooms and a paved courtyard. It was a luxury estate 3,000 years ago. The layout of the rooms and the impressive construction suggests a highly developed civilization. The house isn't the oldest thing in Torikos. It's also home to the oldest known theater in existence, according to the Greek reporter. The theater dates back to 525 BC. Unlike later theaters that were built circular, like Roman amphitheaters, this one was rectangular. It had 21 rows of seats, capable of holding up to 4,000 people. In antiquity, Torikos was like the New York City of the Mediterranean. Thanks for watching! What was your favorite discovery? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already and come back soon for more videos. See you later. Bye!